What's up, folks? So finally, Slammiversary has happened last night. As we promised on our last show, we will be talking about this Sunday to Sunday the 19th. And we got so much to talk about. The internet's been buzzing. You guys been raving. Some of you guys still found something to complain about, but we'll go over it. But as always, it's Najir alongside of Miranda. Miranda, hey.
Hello. Hey.
How's it going?
Good. I'm doing great. I'm really excited to talk about Slammiversary today.
Awesome. And as you can see, there's a third face on the show, and this is my buddy. I've been waiting for a long time to do something with this guy. He is the founder of Fanboy Nation. Definitely check out fanboynation.com. That will get you to all the other social medias, including Fangirl Nation as well. RC, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Najir, what's going on, man? Najir, for people that don't know, Najir and I met each other last year at San Diego Comic-Con, which we should have been there next week, but you know how things are going. We were just kicking back. He had trouble getting into one of the press rooms, so I gave him the contact, and then we hadn't talked for a few months, and we ran into each other in Hawaii. Around Christmas time. So we picked everything back up. And then, hey, man, we were just in Oahu, and we're like, we know each other, right?
The universe is coming together. And you're a good guy. He took his mom out to Hawaii, which is just amazing to do so, you know, and you know, we can talk about press stuff forever, which we'll probably be talking about San Diego stuff by the end of this week. But he's a good guy, and I knew like instantly when we started chatting, it's like we're gonna click. Same thing with me and Miranda. We met just on the wrestling scene in the same aspect. I was like, yeah, we're definitely gonna click. We're definitely gonna do something. So I'm happy to have both of you guys here. And Slammiversary is a really good reason to talk about, because Impact's really been digging deep into making, and when you talk about all the adversity they've been through, the setbacks, the firings, et cetera, for all things to lead to Slammiversary, last night was one hell of a night. So we're definitely gonna break it all down. As you know, if you've been a fan of our reviews, we kind of skim around things, but tonight we're getting it all in. We're breaking it all down. So, but yeah, first of all, I just want to say, like, the intro for Slammiversary gave me chills, and I think just for the reasons I just said, this just was so much happening, you know, and you know, again with the firings, with them having to reshape things, COVID being a part of this, just actually being able to get to this point to see it just felt so surreal. So I was definitely ready for the ride, and it definitely was that. Don Callis back on commentary was amazing. I'm not mad at that, because I love Madison Rain, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But him being back on commentary, it just brought it all back full circle. So, RC, before I let you talk, I gotta say something directly to Miranda really quick. This way, shall I say? The tag team division, I believe it may be fixed. I know I've been busting this ball for a long time. I believe it may be fixed. Now just the people have to just go out there and do the wrestles, and they got all the talent in the world now. But that tag team division that I've been busting his balls for like the last month or so, it might be fixed now.
I agree. I sent you a message that Rome wasn't built in a day, but I think Impact has fixed their tag division in one night. So high expectations moving forward. Yeah. So anyway, let's open it up with things now, because that was my saving grace of the day. What does Impact need to focus on now? The Knockouts division is flooring. The main event picture is flourishing. New free agents are in there. What should be their next focus?
Vignettes. They got to update those things, man. It feels like 1993 with some of the vignettes. I like the Rascals as a tag team. They can put on some good shows, but that whole 70s show pot circle thing is 20 years too late. That's got to go. Like, I want it a little more Lucha Underground. You know what I mean? Like, I love Lucha Underground. I used to go to those shows live here in LA, and like, because we have MMA, we have Muay Thai, we have kickboxing, so we know the realism of combat sports. And, you know, before, when we were kids watching wrestling, it was always, you know, was that a shoot? Was that a work? So we always had to figure it out. And I still love that aspect. But give me more with the vignettes. Make it more tangible, you know? Yeah. And some of the vignettes need to be, you know, a lot better. I love one spoiler from last night before we even get there was when Heath, formerly Heath Slater, showed up and got kicked out of the back because of COVID. And Scott told him, look, man, you're not here to be here. You know, that kind of stuff I want, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Miranda?
say, yes, sorry. The feed, takes a little bit of a while to get out here to the West Coast. I would say I really would love to see, like you mentioned, a focus on the knockouts. I'd love to see a focus on the knockouts division, but more on the wrestling and more on the women. I did kind of enjoy the first Johnny Bravo spot during the gauntlet where he came out dressed up as Taya, but then when he came back out dressed up as Rosemary, it took attention away from the gauntlet match. And the knockouts division is one of the best women's division in pro wrestling, and I hate for it to become too gimmicky, too comical with always having this archetype kind of funny guy get involved in these types of matches and storylines. I wanted the focus to be on the women. So, I think that there's been some funny things in Impact Wrestling, but, use the funny more sparingly and really focus on the women.
And I'll throw it back to you. After last night, what do you say is some of your really big positives and negatives of the show, if any?
I would say, the positives, especially that knockout championship match, that surpassed my expectations. I did not think that match was going to be as good as it was. The build up to it has been fantastic, but the actual execution of the match was beyond what I expected. So continuing to provide that type of quality level in the women's matches is really going to, gravitate not only an old fan base, but a new fan base that is really drawn to women's wrestling. I feel like that will be, a highlight for me of the entire night. As much as I did like Heath coming to Impact, I wasn't quite sure about him continuing to be this kind of misplaced, displaced wrestler that we've seen in WWE for so many years. I kind of wanted a new I did really like how when he first came out, was Rohit Raju, which is to see Heath Slater for the first time as someone who wasn't the underdog. But then when they kind of reverted back to that scenario during the backstage vignette, I was a little underwhelmed. I want to see Heath used in a different way, one that I take him more seriously. And so I hope to see that soon, but that was kind of a negative for me personally, just because I'm hoping to see the side of him.
RC?
I agree with the Heath thing a bit, a bit comical and playing off too much of the WWE thing. Maybe have him come out more as a badass heel later on as we build up to the October pay-per-view. I was really surprised that Jordynne Grace lost the title. I probably would have saved that for Bound for Glory and just have the continuous build with that, possibly have somebody else come out. The show overall blew me away. Impact Wrestling is the little engine that could. Like, just when you think they're gone, they get up that hill one more time and bring it to you. My biggest disappointment of the night, unfortunately, was the men's world title match, because I loved all the vignettes and everything leading up to it and how great this was going to be. But when you sat there and you make this promise of returning champion, and everything looked like a news broadcast, and it was grainy, and it was like pirate radio and all that stuff. And then we got Rick Swann and Eric Young, and not ragging on them work-wise. I think they're phenomenal work-wise, but we knew Rich Swann was going to come back sooner or later. And we knew Eric Young was going to come back sooner or later. But I think the big payoff would have been EC3 as the mystery opponent. I think everybody at home would have popped off the couch more.
Yeah. Yeah, especially I feel a little bit misled by even the updated of the vignettes of like the hinting of who's coming back. It was a solo glass and it became a trio. Mm-hmm. So this person isn't coming alone. So like, even if you try to like make that make sense with Eddie Edwards, that doesn't make sense. Right. So I'm just a little bit confused about that. Yeah, we're definitely gonna dive into that more for sure. Cause like, I definitely share a lot of the same feelings of some things that were being said. So
like we joked, how it's like, watch, the big swerve is going to be Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to be honest. Like when it first started and they showed the two people in the hoodie, they were obviously women. I was like, oh my god. I was like, no. I had this tweet ready. Like I cannot.
Swerve of the century.
Man, I would have just not been happy. I would have not been happy under no circumstance. No. Yeah. So I'm just gonna say like, because if I don't say it sooner than later, I know I'm gonna hear about it on YouTube. But yes, I am disappointed that we didn't get more Johnny Swinger, and this is not the first time you'll hear it tonight. But when we did get Johnny Swinger, when he pulled up in the car, and he says, "I am a good brother." I was done. He just, oh god, he's just one of the he's definitely one of the bright spots for me each and every week. Like, the guy is amazing. But
also don't forget that line. He's like, yeah, I saw Anderson's name on there, but Ole was nowhere to be found.
Yeah. I wonder if he has to write all his promos. There's nothing that feels like him in wrestling, so it has to be all organically him. Oh man, a couple other things that came out about the night. Obviously, Bound for Glory, which you brought up, will be October 24th. So looks like we got a good 3 months in order to book this pay-per-view. I love this idea. That is 3 months of them just straight, and you got to think about it, from all the hiccups they just went through, they're like, we're playing it super safe. And I think less is better here. So I was happy when I seen that date, because I was like, oh boy, here we go. And I for sure thought it was going to be next month. But like, and although traditionally it is in October, I just was for sure they were going to do something different here. But I'm so happy about that they're pacing all the way towards that. So and with this momentum too, if they can keep it up, they'll be fine. If COVID ever goes away, they also may be very, very fine too, especially with the locations of their events too. Like they got a better chance in actually hosting a live event than most other promotions at this rate. So we'll see. Another couple of quick notes before we get into the matches. Now, we talked about this, I think, either last week or the week before. No, the week before. And it's the women's tag team belts possibly returning. There was a quick hint to it today or last night. Nothing of it. I'm also very, very cool with this as well, too. I think, again, less is better, because they could have did a lot. But I felt like they gave us enough to go ahead and keep us invested coming back into each and every Tuesday, which is obviously where the focus needs to be for storytelling. They laid the eggs there, the seed, shall I say? Now they just got to grow the plant. I'm very, very cool with that, the execution of that. So I'm glad that again they didn't go all the way overboard with it. What's your thoughts on that?
I would love to see a Knockouts title, tag team title come back. I think the division isn't deep enough just yet for a tag team division for the women. With the whole Bound for Glory thing, like you said, the 3-month thing, I think it's great. I love the old school buildups where we have 3 months to tell a story, not 2 weeks, and it's 3 matches that lead up to a big payoff. And then again, they'll fight again for another 3 weeks. I would love to see, more of the storytelling. I just want better vignettes, as I mentioned earlier. I think they're a bit sophomorish, but the wrestling has been excellent. The women's match was match of the night. I mean, Jordynne Grace and Deonna Purrazzo, that was amazing. Mm-hmm. To get Jordan to tap out was amazing. I know I'm jumping around. I'm sorry.
Now you go.
I'm not going in order of the matches, but they got to focus on the Knockouts division. I think women's wrestling has come so far that they've eclipsed the men, and the Knockouts division is showing you what needs to be done with women's wrestling in comparison to what AEW is doing with the women's division.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, I think with so much
100%.
With them having good solo talent, why instate the titles when there isn't legitimate tag teams available now? I mean, Tasha Steelz and obviously Kiera Hogan is there, Nevaeh and Havoc is there, but Kylie Ray and Susie is no longer a thing, as you could imagine. So That's only 2 teams. So yeah, give it a little bit of time, keep it fresh in our minds. But like, I'm very glad that what I wanted maybe a couple of weeks ago did not come to fruition. Like this wasn't the time. But again, I think with just us seeing outside of just all of professional wrestling with the women's evolution, what we've seen in far as impact in the evolution of their women's division is truly one of the best talked about stories right now. And I'll bring up Madison Rayne again later, but like seeing her come out to the gauntlet match actually gave me like chills, because when you think about where she came from, and then for her to be around to kind of not only was calling, but then witness and be a part of this division, it just tells you how things just really, really have been on the up and up for them. And her being in there, it's just like, it's almost one of those things like, well, look at your work. All that hard work you've been doing, now look where they're at. And you got talent of all diversities, all gimmicks, everybody just all in there working, and it just works. It's amazing. It just works. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely cool with that. I guess I have to talk about Rohit Raju, because we talked about Heath Slater. I think they're now billing him as Heath Miller. So first of all, him coming out talking about the Rascals Open Tag Challenge, I was very worried for a second. I was like, the mic's already messed up, and I was like, oh, he's not starting out good here. But Rohit Raju officially in jobber status. Somebody has to do work, so it's okay. But I will say that with Heath coming out, and much like you said, Miranda, to a same old thing, I have a little bit of problem here with this, because too much of what you said, but the bigger picture for me is that I feel like anytime somebody's released, fired, or whatever it may be, that's like a look in the mirror to say, well, what do I need to do different? And everybody else that's been released, fired, or whatever it may be, the Drew McIntyres and Jinder Mahal, stuff like that, they went out and they did something different. Either it was a conditioning, was it a gimmick change, but it was just like, hey, it was like that inner soul searching of like, well, what do I got to do to rise above? And to see him look like the same person that he was just on Monday Night Raw, last week? I mean, good for him for being in both promotions, but it's still the same. It's going to catch the fans' eye instantly, but there's no longevity in this. And that is a huge concern to me. And if the program you're getting ready to start with may possibly be with Rohit, is also not a good look as well, too. So Tuesday is going to be a lot of redefining for that character for me. And much like RC, if he comes out full-blown heel and blows this guy up off the aggression and off the comments he made, then good. But as of right now, it was one of those nail-bite moments. Like, I'm excited for him being here. I said I wanted him to be here. But there was a nail-bite moment that he was exactly who he was on Monday of last week. So, yeah, that was the thing. Thoughts on that? Anything else to add, since you guys already kind of chimed in on that?
No, just I absolutely agree. And you're right about those who have left WWE and then make it a mission almost to, redesign, repitch who they are. Also, the fact that also known as TNA, hasn't had the best history of repackaging and reusing former WWE talents as well. So this is really a way that they can turn the page on that chapter. I mean, we've seen a lot of people leave the company and do really well, but have the best history of people coming into the company and repackaging. So I really want to see Heath do great, and I absolutely believe a change in character is the way to go for him. And I hope that we see something different. I just don't want to see the same Heath Slater that we've been seeing for years. And you make a good point with his former stablemate, Drew and Jinder. The reason they got to the top is because they made a big change. And a lot of characters in pro wrestling, their careers have been extended by years through a good character change. So I don't just want to see Heath for, the next year ending his career. I see him for a few years doing something different.
Yeah. Yeah. And much like RC said, I love the segment with Scott D'Amore backstage with them. Heath and Rhino together as a tag team. That's good for the tag team division. It's still bad for Heath for me. It's also good for Rhino, but it's still bad for Heath. So, like, there has to be some give or take here. I'm going to wait till Tuesday to kind of put my thoughts
something.
On
that. Yeah. Something has to give.
And one more thing. Please please. This is the one thing that kills me about professional wrestling more than anything. The arena's empty. You don't have to jump the guardrail. You know, come from the side of the ramp like you snuck into the building. You know, that kills me. And then the one that kills me more than anything, and I swear to God, I'm going to sound like Jim Cornette on this one more than anybody else. Why on earth, if your buddy is getting the hell beat out of him in the ring, do we got to wait for your pyro and your ring music and everything else to do a run-in so everybody stops and with this big grandiose entrance, and then you can save him? Just get to the ring, man. We'll be excited when you're getting there. And then after you save him, we'll do all the pyro stuff.
Ring logic.
Yes. Yeah. The pyro can wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, I got a question for you, Miranda, because you know you're a backstage interviewer, correspondent, a ring announcer, all that good stuff, right? So Gia Miller, the backstage announcer for Impact, she decided that she was going to check on the locker room door to kind of see she knew it was the official locker room of the Good Brothers. She said she was going to check to see if he was in there. Are you one of those type of people who knock and enter, or do you like knock and wait for the person to answer? Just curious, by the way.
No, I would. No, that's a good point. I don't even think she knocked. I think she just pushed the door open. I'm thinking, you don't know what's behind this door. This is not make a deal. Like you gotta, announce yourself a little bit.
I don't know why when I saw that I was just like, what is she doing?
What is she doing? Just, knock a little bit, announce yourself, let them know that you're about to enter. And then that way, you know what's on the other side, especially you got a camera crew. You don't want to, be caught in the middle of something like that. So I think that there has to be a little bit of a change in that style of interviewing, but to each is their own.
We learned from our Val Venus days, right?
Oh yeah. But what I love that you brought that up, and I love that I can't believe she just walked in. What drove me nuts about the entire segment is she's standing in front of a door with this giant star that sits there and says "Good Brothers" on it, and she's like, "I have under good authority. This is their locker room." Really, what gave it away? It's that little stuff right there that turns into Jim Cornette.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You're right. Yeah. And again, I feel bad. That was not even the first time that whole night people were underwhelmed seeing Rich Swann. Like that's the bad part about it. That should have been a sign. Like when it's like Rich Swann is like, everyone, this is not the first time you're going to be underwhelmed by his appearance tonight.
Happy he's back. I was there when he got hurt. I'll talk about it again later on because we're going to go through the car. But I do love the fact that they kept the Good Brothers unseen for the entire night. That was absolutely the way to go with it. Do not let they would have stole all the thunder because they stole the night. They created the buzz going into it. The job is done. Yeah, the job is done. Two other things that we're going into the match card. Number one, this is something we could almost just have a straight podcast about this. But as people found something to be negative about, Impact took a shot at NXT saying Deonna Purrazzo has finally left Stanford Supermax prison. And everybody was very, very, shall I say, butthurt about this. And this, to me, it was just like, whatever. AEW does it all the time. I just didn't find no reason to hijack my entire emotions because of a statement being made. But people legit on all your social medias out there had a lot to say about that. And I felt like that may have took what RC said, which I'm definitely right here patting him on the back, the match of the night, just because of that. And I really want to make a statement about saying, like, do not let that statement ruin that instant classic that we saw last night by any means necessary. It is what it is. You guys love a little bit of drama, and that's what they gave you guys. And got you talking, hopefully got you watching. They did what they were supposed to do in that situation. I'm 1,050% cool with it, but it was by no means supposed for you to take away the excellence that happened in the square circle between those two ladies. Yeah. And then Impact.
I agree. And it was said by Don Callis, which of course he's color, so he was exactly playing his role 100%. And for a lot of people, this was the most time we've seen her in a ring in over a year. For some people, they hadn't even really seen a lot of her previous work, say like in Ring of Honor and other promotions. So this was her really the first exposure. So he wasn't wrong. That's the thing. Like, he wasn't wrong by that statement. He was absolutely right by that statement, which is why he said it. I think that they had high expectations, and the company in general, why they put her in this position so early on. She's only been with the company for a few months now, and she's done more in just the few months she's been in Impact than she did in over a year at NXT. So I get why people can get upset about these shots, but there was nothing wrong with that. There was no part of that statement that was incorrect.
Yeah.
It was a one-off shot, and it was a comment. And like you said, Miranda, it's Dawn being Dawn, so we expected that. At least they're doing it better than AEW, where it's every other match they have to mention WWE. And I'm like, dude, that's what killed WCW. I remember, 83 weeks. The reason why it was 83 weeks, because week 84, Eric Bischoff had Tony Schiavone go, by the way, Mick Foley's going to win the world title on Monday Night Raw tonight. And everyone went click.
Yeah.
And so that's what AEW is going to end up doing to themselves, because everyone's going to turn over to NXT at some point, and they have been numbers wise. So, a little jab like that is one thing, but if you make it the focal point there, you're always going to remind everybody that you're number two, because number one never looks back at number two and goes, whatever, let them talk.
At all. At all. By the way, if you guys have not seen Slammiversary, be sure to get your Slammiversary DVD on ImpactWrestling.com. Yeah, that's right. I didn't say that originally. They said it last night. I was like, DVD?
Or if you go through the Johnny Swigger merchandise page, it's on VHS and Betamax.
All right, let's get into the card for the night. And again, you may hear some things already be reiterated, but so what? We're going to have fun with this. So obviously the first night, Diz and Wentz open challenge match, and we got a big surprise here. This one really was, I cannot even believe right under my nose I didn't see this coming. But the returning Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley. Can we talk about how big of a 2020 Alex Shelley has had this year? Featured on all three promotions this year, and now he's still delivering the goods. What a match to open up this show. From both the Rascals and the Motor City Machine Guns. Again, as I said when we started this all, the tag division looks really good now, considering 2, maybe 3 added teams that can do the wrestles, but not just teams that are just good, but we're talking about arguably some of the best tag teams of this generation right now in Impact and ready to go. I was just all grin from cheek to cheek. I was like, this is a legitimate move here. It follows suit as to returning champion. So I liked everything about it. This was the feel that I felt that in all the promotion, all the vignettes and everything they've been doing about returning people, this was a solidified move here. And I was overly excited about it. And the match was amazing. Amazing. And I'm glad this wasn't the Good Brothers here. So this was just truly a surprise up and down. Oh yeah, y'all jumping in. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was waiting for Miranda to get. But for people that don't know geography, or at least American geography, because I've seen some of the British guys going, they keep pointing to the palm of their hand over here. Like, I guess that's where Detroit is. I was like, Michigan is shaped like a glove, and that's why Detroit's always been pointed to at the bottom of the hand. But it was so great to see the Motor City Machine Guns come out. It was completely unexpected. The wrong word to use would be wasted on an empty arena, but it's unfortunate that they came back at an empty arena, because I think that would have gotten a huge pop too. A lot of people would have noticed it. A lot of people would have recognized it. These guys both ruled the X division for a while, and I think that the Rascals holding their own with them was great. It's definitely a high spot match, but it wasn't a spot monkey match, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like they actually sold for each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciated on it. And it was a great victory, and it was just beautifully orchestrated.
Miranda?
Yeah, I was really surprised by the Motor City Machine Guns in some ways. I mean, we've been watching the Impact for several weeks now, and the flashback match from this past week focused on Chris Sabin. So we knew possibly that he was going to come back, but I don't think anybody expected it to be part of the Motor City Machine Guns. So I think this was a case of a really good surprise happening, one that you didn't expect. A lot of people think it'd be the Good Brothers. This was a surprise that I think it was great that we were swerved a bit. And I absolutely agree about, what their presence now for at Impact means for the tag division. It means some really good things ahead. And yeah, I think we were just all expecting the Good Brothers, and that those were going to be, especially them even possibly, confronting the North. And I don't know, we'll get that later on, but I'm really happy with this match. I thought it was a great ode to TNA past meeting Impact present, and it was just an awesome way to start the night.
Yep. Well said. Next match was Moose and Tommy Dreamer. Now, Moose, I've been saying for like the last few months, is that he has some of the best gear out in professional wrestling. His gear, the vignette, the whole package was just A1. And then goddamn, the white leather belt. Man, I don't even know what to say, but that was amazing. It looks excellent. I mean, I thought the TNA Heavyweight Championship was one of the best belts, period. But the white leather, oh yeah. I'm all sold on that. Before we talk about the match, just the presentation of them coming in, the commentary,
all about the fashion.
yeah, the fashion was on point.
Yes.
Don Callis said it looked like Tommy Dreamer came from under a rock. So. But they're right, and no bias aside, he looks like a champion, and I think that regardless of the storyline, no matter how much what's his name is not for it and gives him grief about it, it looks like a champion. He acts like a champion. I'm cool with it, and we'll just see where it goes. But there's obviously, no matter if there was any speculation if this is a real thing or not, them having a white belt now, a new belt, redone, whatever it may be, there's investment to this now. So I think there's a lot more to come. I was an initial fan of this match happening because I feel like, if anything, this was the match to have a mystery person because of, as I was telling Miranda, the TNA championship ghost of the past to reappear to say, you're not a champion because I really am, or something of that sort. It would have been good. We know Moose can work. Anybody have these people he's already worked. It just would have made sense here. But nonetheless, I think this was one of those, like, don't worry. Look to the future on this one. And I'm cool with that. Anyway, what the hell is Old School Rules? Can somebody tell me? I was looking all around for this. And it was,
because they couldn't say ECW hardcore match.
Okay. I didn't want to go that route, but I thought that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. But you guys, thoughts on the match of this match, Moose and Tommy Dreamer?
I tweeted out at the end of the match, just to play off the whole Moose thing with the white belt strap and everything else, and reviving a title for a dead federation. I said, Moose has now declared himself the GWF World Heavyweight Champion and the UWF TV Champion, so he's a 3-promotion champion, something to that extent. I think it was more eloquent in the tweet. Yeah. Just because it'd be funny to start reviving dead titles and just give them all to Moose so he could be the undisputed defunct champion. It was a decent match. I love Tommy behind the mic. I like him backstage, but at some point, I don't want to see Tommy Dreamer turn into Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Or Iron Sheik, where they practically have to wheel him out to the ring. Tommy, you got kids. I really want you to be healthy for your kids, but backstage you're amazing, on the mic you're amazing, and you've given your body for the business. You don't have anything to prove to anybody ever again. Yeah, and that's like, I felt like everything that this booking of this match went into that. That's what it felt when it's like, no, you've already done everything. There's no one ever going to argue about your contributions to wrestling, to every promotion that you've touched, both in the ring,
backstage, recruiting, development, whatever it may be.
Right.
I just did not see the focus of that match happening. And like the last 2 weeks of that coming to fruition, even with the tease of EC3 coming out, something happened where they had to make a major change. And that I think that might have cost maybe 2, possibly 3 matches to be reworked. So let's kind of keep that in mind as we talk about the other matches. But I absolutely feel like there's someone had to just completely restructure how some of these matches had to go. Miranda, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so this match was one I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much, but the promo that Tommy Dreamer cut a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago actually, on Impact, really just got me very excited. Very different mentalities and approaches to professional wrestling. Moose being very flamboyant, all about the opulence. And being naturally gifted and talented in wrestling, where Tommy Dreamer is much more old school in multiple ways, and their attires address that, their wrestling capabilities and styles address that, and everything about this match. I really liked how they were polar opposites. It does lead me to question, now that we have a new TNA Heavyweight Championship belt, does that mean that it's being recognized again as an actual title? I don't think you can do all of that for a belt not to be recognized.
Exactly.
But you know, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But
Josh Matthews don't think so.
Josh Matthews will deny till he is in the grave that Moose is an actual champion. He will take this is the hill that he will die on, and I appreciate that, because this is the narrative that Moose has built. He has built a narrative to make people believe he is a champion. It is an inactive championship, but enough where now people are really wondering, wait, I think he's a real champion now, you know? I actually one of my favorite parts of this match was the cinematography when it came to the thumbtacks. That was one thing that just threw me like for a loop in a really, really good way. I'm not sure about the whole old school rules. I don't even know if that's a real stipulation, but the imagery of Tommy Dreamer's face, just almost centimeters from the thumbtacks, was a fantastic visual. I love that, because Tommy Dreamer is known for one thing, and that is his grit. He has wrestled all over the world in some of the grittiest environments and in some of the most hardcore environments, and Moose brought it to him. So this match was one I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did, but it was really fun.
Glad you mentioned that.
I think a bit of fanboy booking on my end would be to defend the title against returning legends. So like EC3 was a TNA champion. Eric Young was a returning champion, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody that had it under the TNA moniker at some point gets to fight for it. And with all of Aces and Eights coming back at some point, he gets to defend it against the entire faction.
Look, that's what I've been saying. This is exactly the way to go. And again, it's something I've been saying for a while, is that you do this right, because there are some TNA loyalists out there still. There are people that will turn into TNA, realize it's Impact, see some TNA stuff, but still like, it's Impact, not interested. And it is what it is. You like what you like. But hell, you got momentum going.
Right.
You got a TNA champion. You got returning people all the time. Every time somebody comes, it's a TNA original. Do the damn second show. Right. Let Moose and some of these old people be riches in that. And it just works. It really does work. So I again, to your point, that's what I want to see, is have him and have these other people instantly become in the title picture. Because no matter if people like storytelling or not, and people just focus on who's the champion, then there you go. It's easy booking. Somebody comes in one day, put them for champ, you're interested automatically. So we'll definitely have to see where this goes. And like you said, Miranda, they didn't rebrand this belt to not do anything with it. So there's going to be some interest there, and I think that I think all of our eyes are going to be peeled on it. Now, I know the one match. Real quick, just to add to it. They're doing something right with the TNA title if AEW is ripping him off with the FTW title.
You know, and I'm old enough to remember the FTW title, but it was a joke. It ran for like 6-7 months because Shane couldn't defend the title, so Taz was like, "Screw it, I'm the champion." But and I love Brian Cage. Brian's always been cool with me. You know, he was great Impact champion, everything. But like to give Brian the belt as kind of like a consolation because they were going that whole route with Jon Moxley not being able to defend it, and then throw in the towel on top of it. I was like, that should have been like a DQ. That should have been like something else to give validity to the FTW title and not to make Cage look weak. Sorry, just
Oh, 100%.
That the new TNA Heavyweight Championship looks better than at least 3 other belts that has real belts that have been introduced in the past few months. So that you're doing something right, and people actually like that belt more than other active championships.
Right.
Oh man. Now, I know the one match that we all were looking forward to for the night was the Knockouts #1 Contender Gauntlet match. AKA a Royal Rumble, but whatever it is, respected brands, we get it. But nonetheless, we knew a lot was going to come in this match. Miranda talked a little bit about some of the things that happened in it earlier, but nonetheless, this was really going to showcase the Knockouts division in its entirety. This was also the match that I knew was going to create storylines, and we were going to get glimpses of future things to come. I mean, Tasha Steelz and Kylie Ray starting the match. It makes sense. Two of the freshest faces in that division, 2 of the most talented in all of professional wrestling. And even when when you felt the steam and the momentum start picking up on it, another person came out, and that was just the glimpse you knew of the magic the two can make. I need more of that now. I know it's to come, but like overall, the pacing of this match was just spectacular. And I know the Johnny Bravo thing, and you're right, because we've seen it in other promotions where you insert the gimmick character, mostly being a male, to kind of hijack what's going on. And why it was fun and on, Johnny Bravo is not no Johnny Swinger, so I'm not going to laugh at him. It was entertaining. But there was a lot to take from this, and I'm gonna give you guys a chance first to jump on it. But there was a lot that came with this match, and I thought this match was, and the one thing I will say, putting this match as the 3rd match of the night was the perfect decision, absolutely the perfect decision. I love the booking of the match. I love the pacing of the card, the placement of the card of putting this match on. Hell of a match. Miranda, you could go ahead and jump in first on this one.
Yeah. So I agree with the placement. I do think that the winner of this match did kind of foreshadow what we were going to see in the championship match. But I think it was hard to, there was no other way that they were going to be able to do it. I think it just wasn't going to be realistic to see your 2 big faces compete against each other for the Knockouts Championship later down the line. But overall, I thought that this was really entertaining. I do think things got just, impacted, kind of what Impact did is good for or well known for. Maybe not they're good at this, not in a great way, but adding confusion with emphasizing this was a gauntlet match. Then it became a battle royal, adding Katie Forbes kind of out of nowhere, which I was glad to see her. I'm glad that, she made that presence in there. It made the match fun, but definitely not advertised for it. And it was a lot to process and see throughout the entirety of the match. But again, I mean, one of the best ways to showcase the entire division. I agree with it was the right decision to have Kylie Ray win this. Johnny Bravo, I call him a dime store Sting, coming out there looking like, when he came out like Rosemary, like that. It's like they took an old Sting mask and like, I think this will work, even though his face is painted. Again, it's distracting. You have 2 of the best women in your entire division now fighting over, not in a romantic way, but you have Johnny Bravo now being in the middle of this. I get that they need to fight over something, but I would expect something maybe a little bit more meaningful than some schmuck. But, to each is their own. But yeah, I would say there were elements of confusion in this match that did take away from, showcasing the talent. But I do appreciate that they did give the women this match. It was really good placement on the card overall.
Yeah.
Hold on, RC, before you get in there, because to the point that we said earlier, Katie Forbes, I think she's going to bring it up yet, but Katie Forbes not being in the graphics, obviously in the division actively, being put into this card makes me again suspect who was she filling in for? Mm-hmm. Who couldn't make it? And remember, the tease was that this person that was coming back was also coming back, as it was indicated, with a woman. So that tells me a pair was supposed to show up and they didn't. And her being in there did nothing. She was twerking the Havas entrance music. That's so
Katie Forbes though. That's why I do kind of love it. Like she is messy. She's a messy queen, but I love it because only she would twerk to Havoc's music. Like I can appreciate that she commits to the gimmick.
But go ahead, RC.
Oh no! I was gonna say I just love that half of WoW's roster is in the Impact Zone, and the match was a little bit sloppy. I agree with Miranda completely that Johnny Bravo slipping in there was too Santino Morelli or Santino when they tried to do that. I was confused in the very beginning of the show why he was dressed like Mr. Smee from Peter Pan. And then they finally explained it that Taya Valkyrie was doing a Captain Hook thing. So kind of worked. And I was like, okay. I think once would have been good enough, for he came in as Taya. Oh, he was eliminated. Now the real Taya comes out. That would have worked as a one-time thing, but not as a two-time thing. I agree with Najir. There are two people that are missing that I just can't put my finger on who they were supposed to be.
I was going to say, one person that's just on the roster that's not there is Tenille.
Right.
But yes, there was clearly a pair that should have been here. And I can't put my finger on it. I mean, you can easily say Maria and Mike, but I'm not even sure if that was the route they were going to go. I feel like there was really going to be something that was going to be mind-blowing.
Well, they teased the beautiful people. That was part of the Impact match of the night several weeks ago with Madison Rayne joining the match. It definitely would have added some chemistry and dynamic to the match as well. So it could have been either one or both members of the beautiful people as well. But you're right. It just seems like, there was something that was supposed to happen that didn't come together. And in the meantime, they brought back, Katie Forbes to fill in that spot.
It's Bully Ray and Velvet Sky didn't sign their contract in time. That's why we didn't get Aces and Eights and the beautiful people together at once.
Very fair.
Not to rag on them. I mean, I miss seeing them. And Aces and Eights was entertaining for a while.
Yeah, and let it be known, they said it was happening, didn't happen. Tuesday better be like 3 hours long.
They just needed that extra hour for all the other people they teased that were coming back.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So like I said, Susie no Su Yung. I'm also happy with this. Not yet. Anytime Su Yung is a thing, it's a thing that's going to overshadow everything. And we did get a little bit of hints with it with her and Rosemary last week. They kept them away from each other in the Battle Royal, so I was happy with that. They know there's money to be made there, so give it a little bit on. Plus, I'm cool with the Susie character, so it makes sense to me. Like I said, Madison Rayne coming out just gave me so many chills because of just all the veteran status that she has with Impact. Everything she's done in professional wrestling, the world of professional wrestling, in women's wrestling, all over the world. So her being able to be a staple in this match, which she also was my B pick. And it was surreal. And then the Knockouts division, as much as they said each and every moment that they're in the ring, they're one of the best women's division of all time. When you just look at the talent all across the board, it's hard to argue that this is definitely one of the best of all time. Not to mention my pick to win it, Kimberly, did not win it. Got to, I think, the fifth person, but nonetheless, I'm also very curious because she is still the most underrated person in this knockout division. If you're a fan of hers and know her work, you know that there's a lot of talent that they have not utilized just yet. But they're making sure they're keeping her relevant. So I'm very curious to see where she goes. And I think this Battle Royal was like, she's in there, but she's not doing a lot. Just stay tuned. I'm cool with that. And I love, again, how they gave the nod to her, saying that she's very underrated and maybe even overshadowed because of everything that's going on. So it is what it is. And to Miranda's point now with Kylie Rae, it's just the easy way to go. She's a mega star. She's a super baby face. Her winning ultimately told you what was going to happen later on in the card, which we'll talk about in a second. And sure, maybe this was the way to go early. I'm not quite sure if I would have did it, but nonetheless, it was going to happen eventually. So we're here, and I'm out, and it is what it is. So Kylie Rae, her sign to this division, the way how she's been worked and used this entire time, you knew it was only a matter of time. So we'll see when this match happens. It should not happen on a Tuesday. It should happen on a Saturday in October. Bound for Glory. You have a lot of work to do in between keeping her and the new Impact champion away from each other, or little hints of each other. Maybe keeping her tagging with Susie for a while until Susie becomes Sue Young and whatever it may be. But not yet. There's I can't emphasize enough. There's so much money to be made within some of these matches you can make. Don't cash it all in yet, Play the game just a little bit longer. But nonetheless, I think, again, that this gauntlet match did give us enough to really look forward to in the future. And if this is your first time even watching Impact, you have to be kind of intrigued, like, oh, there's some characters in here. Like, Havoc didn't do a lot, but you can tell she's a force to be reckoned with. And remember, she's never lost her championship. And they made that very clear, too. I would imagine she get back into the picture at some point, too. So this was a very, very solid match. The next match, Willie Mack versus Chris Bey for the X Division champion. I'm just going to quickly get my thoughts out of the way with this. Very hard hitting. Willie Mack was on point. Man, the two of them got so many counters that I've only seen in video games come to life in the ring. These two dudes, they get it. They get the wrestles. Like they and it wasn't even like it was so many flips and tricks and everything. It was just really good, solid chemistry with each other that worked. And I will say that Chris Bey is such a star because even with him botching his finish, he cleaned it right up with some finesse, shall we say, and won the damn thing. This was a great match that, we knew it was going to happen. I'm not sure if I guess I don't know what to do or think about Willie Mack going into the future here. This is one of the ones where keep an eye out on. But Chris Bey being a champion is really, really, really good choice, and just a good match. And both of these guys are stars. So I'm just, again, thinking about coming in the Slammiversary. This is one of the ones where I can't wait for it to happen. Would have loved to see this in person. Solid match and delivered to all of my expectations.
Yeah.
Go ahead, RC, jump in there.
I've known Willie Mack since 2009, back in the Mach 1 wrestling days before it got incorporated into Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. When I was the timekeeper over there, Willie is like, when you first see Willie walk around, you're like, okay, I guess he's, a mid-card guy. And then you see him fly for the first time. You're like, whoa, I don't even believe this guy can do it. and like, Willie is like the most gracious, the most humble guy there is. I wanted to see Willie retain that belt till he retires and then retire the X Division belt with him. But him losing to Chris Bey is a good move because now it sets up Bey with Johnny Swinger. Mm-hmm. And although, Rich Swann talks about, wanting to avenge Willie, I see putting them as a full-blown tag team going for the tag team titles and just increasing that division.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too. Back to square. He's clear.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Miranda? I think you took the words out of my mouth with chemistry. They just have fantastic chemistry, and from the beginning of the match all the way to the end, the way that they played off of each other, I just loved seeing the aggression from both sides as well. Like, this has been months in the making and really good storytelling. So I seen both of them wrestle in person, and it's just a sight to see. So this would have been one. Definitely, my heart aches that I wasn't there live, because it was one that absolutely, would have benefited from a crowd. But just to see it, just to witness it in person is something else. I feel like a big theme in Slammiversary was that they are really turning the page and putting these titles on new people and starting new chapters. So this is the reign of Bey, this is now the chapter of the X Division that's going to be defined from Chris Bey, just like we saw with Willie, just like we saw with Ace. And I feel like it's such a fantastic move for not only Chris, but for the division itself. I mean, the X Division has been founded on innovation, on fantastic wrestling, and fantastic characters. And Chris Bey, he's only been with the company since the beginning of the year. And just to see what he's been able to do in such a short time is showing that, he's in the right place now. He's found the right place to be at. So, and we'll see, what his dynamic with Johnny Swinger comes in. I actually think with Willie Mack, we're actually maybe seeing more, not maybe a tag team with Rich Swann, but maybe going back to some of the tension that they had before Rich got injured, because you could tell there was some tension between them. Maybe they're going to readdress that. I would love to see Willie Mack versus Rich Swann, even though I think they would benefit from being a tag team. I really liked seeing that tension they had before Rich got injured.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to probably rekindle things in one way or another, because they both lost their matches. Happy that this guy is back. But yeah, the Willie Mack story moving forward is definitely going to be the most intriguing, because that guy is a mega star, and you have to keep him in mega star status. You cannot let like a defeat and them taking the title off of him put him back into just a pool of things to happen. You have got to keep the focus on Chris Bey, like you say, signed in the beginning of the year. It was only a matter of time. Very young, still very ambitious. I mean, hell, he looked legit happy winning, and that's surreal. And the COVID thing, it sucks, because like some of these people work their entire life to have these moments, and not only is the moment just big for them, it's big for us as fans, because they want to celebrate it with us. And we'll talk about it in the match in a second. But for the titles that exchange hands for the night, you can tell there's a bit of like excitement and humbleness, but a bit of sadness, because like they want these moments to be surrounded by the people that seen them do it, work hard their entire career. So. Yeah, and also Johnny Swinger, I cannot believe he had nothing to do with this match. We spent so much time building him up with Chris Bey. He wasn't even out. I was sad. I knew he was going to do something, but like nothing. Chris Bey versus Swinger Tuesday. Book it, or I'm not watching anymore. And the Swinger win.
Johnny Swinger stealing Ole Anderson's car is enough for the entire show.
Right? You don't want to diminish that. Like we got a good quality Swinger segment.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Just the fact that it's like, it was under Anderson, but I didn't see Ole anywhere, so I took his Jag. I'm like, first of all, if it was Ole, it would have been like a Ford Bronco. Like, he would have gotten a sneak peek to a 2021 Bronco. Which hell, I even want one, and I'm not a Ford guy.
That's a mic drop. He dropped the mic and then left. We didn't even see him for the rest of the night.
Park this for me.
Exactly.
This will be the match I talk about the shortest tonight. The North versus Ken Shamrock and Sami. First of all, Ken Shamrock. This guy was lost. No GPS, cell phone died. No GPS signal. He was lost. Like, where's Waldo lost? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego lost? As much as I was about the booking of this match even happening in the first place, lost. This match was absolutely horrendous. And it just sucks because the North is so good. And thank God they cleaned it up at the end with that fire promo. And looking forward to Tuesday, the North versus the Motor City Machine Guns. To truly see who's the greatest. Oh, yeah. Finally, a Tuesday night where I can look forward to a tag match.
You not just fast forward through the tag match.
So, see you guys on Tuesday to talk about the North. That's all I got. I swear, that's all I got.
Ethan Page, just the verbal assault that he put out there during the match too, entertaining. I mean, that whole "I'm a karate master" spot like had me rolling on the floor. Like, not only are they, one of the best wrestling tag teams out there, they are just the most entertaining. I think there was a lot of social media buzz about how great Ken Shamrock looked physically for being in his 50s. But you're right, especially that last spot, like was it over the top rope, and he just like literally dove, like not in a good dive, like he was almost in a trance and just like fell over the top rope. I don't know, like it started off really good, and then the way that it ended, just with Ken Shamrock's role in it, I just I did like the double ankle lock spot. I thought that was pretty fun. And Sami Callihan actually looked pretty good as well. But the North, I mean, it's their division and we're just living in it. But I loved seeing Motor City Machine Guns. Like, I think we still all thought the Good Brothers were going to come out, but to see the Motor City Machine Guns come out instead, like, I was thrilled. I'm happy about it. I think that this is the perfect setup for them, because they are facing, tag team royalty, and this is going to be a challenge that they've never faced before, which makes me so excited for Tuesday.
Yeah, I agree with Miranda that double heel hook slap fest was the highlight of the match. Ken throwing himself over the top rope, I thought he'd give himself another concussion. And I'm not saying it to be mean. And God,
we remember that,
right? And of course, I'm going back in my head now, and I was just like, and I love Ken as a person, because last time I feel like I'm such a name dropper today, and I feel like such a horrible person for it. But
well, you're just looking out for his safety. That's why.
Right.
That's why.
I mean, the guy's been in so many fights, and he's, shoot wrestling, pancrase, MMA, everything that he's been through. At some point, Ken would be the perfect general manager for Impact that gets into the ring once in a while when things won't settle down. Like him and Tommy Dreamer, I think, should be like that level of enforcer. Like,
just thinking that. Yeah.
Where Dreamer talked about the TNA booking committee. Like, you have the Impact booking committee where it's Ken Shamrock, Tommy Dreamer, and then, to hell with it, Sabu. Put Sabu in there to add to the level of craziness of it all, and make Tommy Dreamer the actual voice of reason, and then that would be its thing. And they show up, Bound for Glory, Hard to Kill, Slammiversary, whatever, just for the 3 big pay-per-views the way Hulk Hogan used to in the old days. But yeah, this was a hard match to watch. There was something missing, like Ken can still perform. He can still go. He looks amazing for 53. It's just that something didn't click. And I like him and Sami as a team, the world's most dangerous tag team that Sami called them, I think, last week or the week before. But I would have loved to have seen them win the title. And then that way you have the conflict within trying to keep the team together, because they are the champions.
Mm. Yeah, I already said no rebuttal. But yeah, to one thing you said, yeah, no one wants anybody to get hurt or anything like that. But yeah, Ken just it looked like I'm not gonna say it looked like he lost a step. Right. It just looked like it was just something wasn't clicking. And people have off days. He's 53. Damn sure look good for his age.
I want to look that good at 53.
Damn right? I want to look good now. Like, I don't like.
Miranda's 21, everybody, by the way.
21.
Confirmed it.
Yeah. Confirmed.
Confirmed. Yep. Yeah, it's everybody has off days, and the older you get, he's still out there doing it. That's all that matters. And but this wasn't just that wasn't his last night. Was not his night. That's just all the point of it matter is. But they got through it. That's the big part. They got through it. Now the match of the night: Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace. Without a doubt, no argue with your mom. This was the match of the night by a long shot. Jordynne Grace is so strong and just so poised. And every time I think about her being like 23, 24, I mean, folks.
Is she really only 24 years old?
Like 23, 24. She's
okay.
Yeah. Folks, she is the epitome of what a wrestler looks like in and out. She is, again, poised, crisp, Very, very fluent in her actions. I love that spot with the body slams in the German with her and Deonna. You can tell they've worked a lot in the past. And you know, a lot of people are not fans of people not selling in certain spots, but you bought into how they work with each other because you felt the intensity. You felt like the thirst to want to be the victor here. What a goddamn amazing match. I have to say, and you know, we talked to Jordynne in the past in the interview. Anytime she's able to do anything, such as the bear hug or sleeper, you have to look into it and you have to buy it without any doubt. You know it hurts, and the fact that they won't let her use one of her patented moves, and we was able to get a glimpse of it last night. I was just all for it. But I will have to say, it brings me much sadness that her title reign was short-lived because as hard as she's been working on the indies, doing the wrestles all over, and that she was able to become the Impact champion. Not even on TV because it happened in Mexico. So it kind of came about later on. This wasn't the first reign that I would have wanted as a fan of hers because she was never able to live it with the crowd. It was never able to be lived live. There just was a lot of just like, damn. And for her to, you know, and her to lose the match, and I'll talk about Deonna in a second. I think that victory hurt as a fan. Like I want more, but it's not the end of the story. We know this. This is wrestling, and she's a baby face, so you know it's always the story of climbing back up the mountain and so on. But just not yet. Much like you said, RC, just not yet. I would have been Bound for Glory. I think I would have been a little bit more okay with it then. But you have to respect the talent, which means that by all the hard work that she's been doing, you as fans, you say, well, I would like to see that person be decorated, and that she was, but I also like to celebrate with that person and see that championship reign to its utmost ability. She's only defended it 3 times. Yeah. Kimberly, Taya, and Deonna. And that's a matter of COVID being the true victor here and canceling all of that. So I don't know, but I will say Deonna Purrazzo, the double arm bars is absolutely flat out sick. That's one of the sickest moves out there, period. And much like I said earlier, Deonna winning, her as a champion looks really, really good on her, but she was legit emotional after that win. You can tell she legit laid it out. These 2 women laid it all out in this ring. Easily the match of the night, easily an instant classic, easily a workshop to go back to anybody that's inspired to be a wrestler, to go to learn about chemistry spots, everything. This is amazing. I could talk about this for like 20 more minutes if I had to, but amazing match. RC, go in there.
You talking about 20 minutes is 15 minutes longer than the match took. There's only one hole in Jordynne Grace's game, and that's her mic skills.
Yeah,
I want, you know, and it's not knocking on them. It's just that they're not there yet. Like I want her to believe what she's saying more, rather than it coming across as her playing a character. Because you know it's like 60-40. 60% is her, but that other 40% isn't really who she is. I really want to see her become the female Taz in just, you know, the human suplex machine, just going out there and destroying everybody. You know, she's what, 5'2", 5'3", but just a monster, and just boom. And as much as this is the match of the night, and you and I are in agreement, and I don't know if Miranda agrees with us on this one or not, because we're about to hear from her on this. I would have loved to have her retain for Bound for Glory, and then because, you know, like have it like a time limit draw. Like this was a 20-minute match. It went to Broadway. Boom, 20-minute draw. Okay, nobody won it. Now Kylie Rae's number 1 contender, but is, you know, Deonna Purrazzo still number 1 contender, or she got bumped down to number 2? Havoc never lost the title, turned it into a 4-way dance. Again, that's, you know, armchair booking on my end. Leave it to Don Callis. He'll figure something out between now and October to do something with it. But that's how I would have loved to have seen it. And then just you build up Deonna as this monster heel. You build up Jordynne as like I said, like Taz or like the Road Warriors, where, you know, she's undeniably powerful and you care to see her, you know, in the win column, and then just have the 2 go at it. Yeah, I was just gonna say match was great. Yeah, other than that.
Yeah, no. So going back to Jordynne Grace's reign and what should have happened, I agree. I actually think that Jordynne Grace should have won the championship at Hard to Kill, because I feel like that was her moment, and maybe that would have been different, and we would be talking about her reign differently if she had won the title at Hard to Kill instead of in Mexico. Because also at that time, yeah, it wasn't televised. Like, just her, you know, they say the Revolution is televised, and like her reign not being on television as much as it should have, I think just hurt it. And ultimately then her as almost like a credible contender. Because you had it, and now you have it almost bookend. You know, she got it off of Talia, who had the longest reign in you know, Impact history, and now she you know, passed it on to Deonna, who has been only in Impact for a few months, and to have, you know, someone who's been on the roster for such a short amount of time take the belt is surprising. I actually agree. I would have loved to see more storytelling with this, to get to know Deonna more, to see really what she's capable of, and maybe have this match have ended in a different way. I like the use of multi-woman matches sparingly. So going to the AEW comparison, that's pretty much in their wheelhouse. Every week you see a multi-woman match. To me, I would have been okay with it if there was a build to it. Just almost like they did with the World Championship match. You know, the reason why originally the 5-way match wasn't so overwhelming is because every person in that match had a claim to the title. And I absolutely like RC's storytelling and booking with that. I wouldn't have minded that, whether that be at Bound for Glory or even just, you know, an Impact before Bound to Glory. So there's a lot they could have done, but the match itself was, again, I agree, at Clinic. One, I was not expecting to be as good as it was. And I think it was just, you know, not really sure how much time they were going to give. The build up to this was fairly short. And really, I hadn't seen what Deonna could do in a long time. So I really wasn't sure what to expect from her. But I loved this dynamic of this powerhouse Jordynne versus, you know, someone who's very technically skilled in Deonna. And Deonna really figuring out how to handle Jordynne Grace was phenomenal. The fact that they've done this in such a short amount of time is huge kudos to Impact.
I mean, I'll just throw out fancy book in there. I mean, or you can just, I don't know, rocket ship Jordynne up to the Impact World Championship picture. I mean, she does the intergender wrestling, and I'm way more compelled on that story. That's all I'll say there. But yeah, we'll see. That is, and this again, this is how pay-per-view should be done. It should leave you satisfied, but also open to future storylines and so on. And I will have to think, as much as I like Jordynne Grace as a babyface, I love her way better as a heel. So I would have to think there has to be something that has to flip here, or maybe she just go full blown aggression. I do like the Taz booking. That does sound amazing.
That would be
yeah, yeah. But again,
full blown Taz suplex machine and just, you know.
But then again, we as good as the match was, by like, I would say 10 minutes down, so no matter what, we know how this match is going to end. You're not going to have Jordynne versus Kylie. You that it doesn't make sense at all. But Kylie versus Deonna, talk about putting a division together, and that's your two top people.
But also notice all the other women wrestlers. You know, like Kylie left AEW, Deonna left NXT and WWE. You know, it seems that all the women are realizing the place for them to go is Impact, because they're doing something right with the division. You know, WWE has a deep women's roster, and a lot of people have treated it as the Charlotte Flair show, which, you know, right or wrong, I mean, Charlotte's a great talent, but there's other people to feature, and we want Charlotte Flair to have a quick recovery, obviously. AEW, like Miranda said, it's just 4 women, you know, 4 corners matches the whole time, and 4-person matches and 8-person tag matches and whatever else. It gets cumbersome after a while. Like, they're not really giving them, you know, the right amount of time that they deserve to build their stories. So Impact is doing it right with the women, and I love what they're doing. So keep going with it.
Yep. And the one thing you didn't say is that you got to think, when it comes down to lore and recruitment, How many people gonna say, "Oh, so like I can sign, be myself, and no BS, and I'll get into significant storylines and title pictures"? Cool. Sounds good to me. So.
That's a sweet deal.
Yeah, and then on top of it, again, I mean, when you think about it, these are independent talent that have worked all over the world before they had their first chance, ultimately ending up into Impact at some point. They talk to each other, so they ain't gonna be no holding of like, well, how did that come about, or like, what did they tell you? And they're gonna be like, hey, they said I can this, and that. And I'm like, oh, for real?
Right.
But WWE and stuff like that. I'm not really sure about AEW signing and stuff like that. But WWE, everybody knows, like, well, I don't. The real thing is, well, I don't know. They didn't tell me much, but I'm just gonna do this, and that uncertainty has landed people into this purgatory area of nothingness. And some of these people have long careers in front of them. Some of these people don't. Some of these people only got a few more years left on them. So, you have to think by demonstration of what they've done with Deonna and Jordynne thus far, what they've done in that number one contender gauntlet match, and what they've done with some people other in the past this year that's been released, that it's a good display of how limitless your possibilities can be in your career in signing that. And that's a good thing. That's why it's so damn easy to say that's the best women's division in all of wrestling, without a doubt.
But it's soon to be the best tag team division in all of wrestling.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I know the Good Brothers said they regretted not going to AEW when they had the chance because it would have been a bit of a Bullet Club reunion. But AEW is not New Japan. Yeah. With the way New Japan was structured and had them all working there differently, Kenny Omega hasn't been able to pull off what he did in New Japan. The Young Bucks aren't pulling off what they did in New Japan. Cody's Cody, so he's never going to have a problem because Dustin's his older brother. Dusty was his dad. He's got that pedigree there, and he's got a million advisors for him. But what we've noticed with the Young Bucks and with Kenny Omega is that what they were in Japan isn't the same that they are in AEW. And who would have known what would have happened with the Good Brothers? Because look at FTR and what they're going through. As talented as they are, it's the mix isn't fully there. So Doc Gallows, having already been in Impact, having been part of Aces and Eights, knows what to expect over there. It was an easy choice for them to go to Impact Wrestling.
Agreed. Well, the main event, the match that had the most questions of the entire night. Who will be returning? Who was the mystery fourth? And we knew a new champion was going to come about, but what ultimately was going to be the talk of town after the completion of this match? Well, the three we know came out, and then a fourth in Rich Swann, and I automatically knew that was not it. I saw it from a mile away, and that's fine. Like I said, nothing against Rich Swann. I talk about Rich Swann all the time, so everybody knows I like Rich Swann.
Yeah,
I get to see him back. Good to see him back and moving great, shall I say, too.
Yeah.
But the fifth mystery person, Eric. Let me make this very clear. Crazy Eric Young has returned to the Impact Zone. I much like
that was everybody's reaction.
You're right.
And I love Eric Young's work, man, but it was just like, huh.
Now I will say this, since I'm unable to name drop here, but I would love to meet Eric Young because everybody I know that's met him has always said excellent things about him. His pedigree, his resume, everything speaks for himself. No better person to be in this spot. Nothing against him at all. Everything that led to this spot had nothing to do with him. Because
except that Super Eric reference that one time.
Exactly. But nothing else. So if I had a collection of ideas to play Clue, he damn sure wouldn't have been a person I would have guessed to have done the murder here. But happy to see him. Happy he looks happy. A mic in front of him is always a good thing. His what looks to be moving forward, his program with Rich Swann could be interesting. Nonetheless, I did not think he was going to be the person here. It's really, really regretfully hard to say that I am very underwhelmed by his placement in this. Everything he did in the match, everything was great. The match was great. 40-minute, excellent match that really put the icing on the cake for Slammiversary. But this Eric Young, I don't know. But I will say, in a positive note, good, because this was the most unpredictable choice of all the choices. And in the world of everybody wants to know everything, this was the one that no one seen coming. You had a little bit of a hint because it was one of the selections, but like, let's be honest now. Everyone thought it was going to be someone else. Me, Rusev, but COVID-19 said no Seth. So, and who knows?
Zero Nomo, is that what you're saying?
I love.
Who knows? Next week, week after, that's 2 weeks there. So, we'll definitely see. But nonetheless, as to talk about the match, Risswan yelling in agony was a little too close to home again. Seeing him hurt, that was authentic as it comes. I'm so glad that he finished out the match at high pace, because you just never want to see none of your people get hurt. Nonetheless, people that you've seen hurt get hurt, and rechanneling that same energy for that. So, but yeah, good for Risswan returning. Eric Young returning, cool. Ace Austin and Eddie Edwards being the final two was the decision to go with here, considering everything that came to this. Absolutely the two that should have done it. Congratulations to Eddie Edwards here. I'm very happy with him winning. Moving forward, Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. Is this the confirmation of them being a tag team? What? Another tag team that potentially could be something? First of all, I'm all for Madman Fulton. So if you have to really do this to like really get them legs under him, to make sure that, he's getting all the toolage and all the comfortability, everything he needs to be the total package, if tagging him, which has worked for so many people in the past, because Ace Austin's a star, I'm cool with this. And if their first program is going to be with finally seeing Gallows and Anderson for the night, sign me up right away for that. My only question, and now I'm going to turn it over to you guys, is Eddie Edwards aligned with the Good Brothers? I told you the vignette didn't make sense, but if they were the three to be sitting at the table with the glasses, which probably you can argue that different because of what happened immediately after this. Nonetheless, Eddie Edwards aligned with the Good Brothers. Is this a trio of things to come, or is this just the way for them to just reassert their presence, save him, and just be out? Or do they have some type of beef with Madman Fulton and Ace Austin? Who knows? There's a huge, bold question mark on that right there. I just do not know. But nonetheless, that was the main event. I was happy, very satisfied with how the night went. And like I said, icing on the cake, I was ultimately good with, after that, turn the TV off, saying that was it. So Miranda, go ahead and jump in there now.
Yeah, so I was all the way until the end. I thought this was Ace Austin's to lose, with the way that they built him with Madman Fulton by his side, the program he's had with Trey being the first one eliminated, which it makes sense. There has to be the first one to go, and it had to be him. But I was happy with the final two. It makes sense to have Eddie Edwards, be the new champion, going with someone who's been with the company for so long, someone who's a little more stable, more reliable, more vetted. I think that that's important for them now, because they've had to make some tough decisions over the past few months as to who they want representing the company. And to have someone as established as Eddie, someone who has that longevity, but also just, someone who's pretty well liked, both by fans and by the locker room, it's a good choice to make. Even though I do think it would have been awesome to see Ace Austin win, it's really defining them as a company who's entrusting some of their younger talent. The guy has time. Again, Ace Austin hasn't been with the company for that long as well, and so there's time for him. And so I'm very excited to see what is next. I absolutely foresee Ace Austin becoming world champion at some point. By what means? Who knows? And maybe that's what makes me, want to stay glued to my television is, you don't know how he's going to win it, but the way he does, it's going to be very, very interesting. But, as far as the appearance of the Good Brothers, more in the main event picture than the tag picture, though. You know what? It makes sense. You know, they are a really well-known tag team, but you know, maybe it would have been so predictable that they get involved in the tag division instead of the main event picture. And that's one thing we haven't really seen them do in such a long time, is be in the main event. So why not? And it seems like Impact is willing and ready to do that. So I don't think that there's going to be a permanent faction between them and Eddie Edwards. I think it's going to be a partnership out of convenience. And then it's going to evolve into something else. I'm not entirely sure yet, but, you know, he is going to need some help with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. So overall, though, really, really happy. And I know we'll get into kind of that last segment. I think a lot of fans, we booked ourselves into a corner that anyone other than who we thought was going to be disappointing. So that's just what happens when we get our expectations so zoned in on one person. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to be around. It's going to just look a little different. So I think it was just our expectations let us down, not so much the match itself.
Yep.
You know, this match, like Miranda said, no matter who who showed up, if it wasn't who we expected it to be, it was going to feel like a letdown. And I feel the tires were a little deflated. I love Eric Young. I think it would have been better if he was in the TNA title match like we discussed earlier. I think that would have been a great surprise for that, especially Crazy Eric Young. And now him looking like Jimmy Smith, the former Bellator and UFC color commentator. Who
I didn't recognize him. Legit, with no hair anywhere. I was like, who? What is it?
Yeah, when he came out, I was like, did Jimmy become a pro wrestler? And I think this is a good setup. I think with Ace Austin forming his own tag team, this gives a chance for Davey Richards to come back and the American Wolves possibly teaming up. Again, more fantasy booking. It seems like Impact is like, well, since everybody else is either neglecting tag teams or has no idea how to build the division properly, let's just go full tag team wrestling. Because they have that deep of a roster that they can just create factions.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, it's something that the sky's the limits right now, because although AEW and WWE are kind of having the rivalry thing, and it's more AEW chasing NXT, even though they're beating them in the coveted demographic. I see Impact coming out of nowhere and just becoming a close third the way New Japan was 2 years ago, and going, hey, you guys might have forgotten about us, but look at how deep our roster is. And once they get those vignettes and backstage stories better than just some of the sophomore humor, I think people will start noticing Impact again, and thanks to Slammiversary this year.
Yeah. Gallows and Anderson theme music is on point. Also, I don't know if anybody knows, but Gallows almost failed when he came down. Oh man. Well, look, that definitely wraps up the card, but we have to talk about the last thing, and that is EC3, as it appears that he might have made his decision, and I think he has some business coming this Tuesday. I'm not going to speculate, because EC3 has been lobbying all over the place. His music's even been hinted. If Impact was able to pull this off, hats off to them, because he looks like he was throwing he was handing his resume out anywhere possible. So we'll see, but I'm all for it. And I'm very curious. Now, here's something I've been wondering. EC3 being the person that was at his seat with the glass as he threw the glass at the thing, blah, blah, blah. I wonder, was it always originally intended for him? Or did he take the liberty in doing that? Because all his videos that he's been making online, I mean, Impact's not going to have him make a legitimate promo for ROH and one for AEW. That means that's his work. And they was and were they able to just put that all together? Or maybe he sold himself so hard by doing that, they left themselves in a position like, oh, we have to do something now. Yeah. And that right there is what I mean when I talk about going out there and reinventing yourself, working all your channels and avenues to make yourself the hottest free agent, or or leave people in a position to not say no to you. If that's the case, I cannot wait to see what happens moving forward with him, because that's what it's all about there. That's how champions are made. That's how stars are born. And that's how fans are invested. When you do stuff like that, you're a winner, no matter what promotion you are. And if he's able, if Impact was able to lock him down, I think that sneaky third, as you're talking about, becomes really, really, really intriguing. Because I think he done did everything he did to put eyes on the promotion, and also draw more people to come. So we'll definitely see. As Tuesday's going to be so interesting. So interesting. That's my last thoughts on Slammiversary 2020. You guys got anything else you want to chime in on there?
Miranda, go for it.
Yeah, no, it's a big gamble because a lot of people were expecting EC3 at Slammiversary, and now they put this vignette at the end, not only to tell you what they've been doing over the past few weeks, but also it's a gamble to say, we're going to make you all wait until Tuesday. Let's see if we can translate some of that viewership from Slammiversary onto Tuesday, which, for some people it's a gamble that, it's a wasted opportunity, but in some ways, ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about coming, bringing in those fans on a weekly basis to tie them in and hopefully get them watching long enough for the next pay-per-view, for Bound for Glory. So, it was strategic. For some fans, it wasn't what they expected, but ultimately, I think it's going to pay off. I do expect to see a jump in viewership, even if it's just for 1 week. The big test will be how do they keep that viewership running for another 3 months, because it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that's going to be the hardest part of this, is how do you keep that viewership as excited this Tuesday to 2 months from now, 3 months from now. But, I was fascinated by it. You brought up a lot of the questions I didn't even think about when it comes to EC3 and, where he's been lobbying to go, what was Impact's idea, what was his. But I absolutely agree about the reinvention. This is why people were excited to see EC3 go to the WWE, because they thought this was going to be, the type of EC3. And we've seen him definitely go through an evolution in his career, but every evolution has gotten better and better. So that is the only thing I expect, is this iteration of EC3 is to be something that is different than we've seen from him before, but something that is going to be really exciting, and someone is just going to dominate Impact. If this means he jumps into the world title picture a little differently than what we saw at Slammiversary, I'm totally okay with that, because I'd rather have that anticipation of seeing this iteration of EC3 and Impact than maybe just him jumping into the ring first. Let tease the fans. That's a huge part of wrestling now, and they have the time to do it. So I thought it was a really fun, smart way to keep fans engaged. And damn it, if it did not leave a cliffhanger for Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Right. I know this name is very taboo in professional wrestling, but the route that I see EC3 going is very angry, silent Chris Benoit, very crippler coming in. Look, the company screwed me over before. I went somewhere else. That company didn't know what they had. Now I'm back here to get my title back. You ruined my family's name legacy when you drove my aunt out. All that stuff. It's just going to be total Chris Benoit crippler, just silent for 2 months, and then just very monotone, talking. That's the way I see from the vignettes and everything that's come. So it's, a Chris Benoit-esque which unfortunately that name is taboo in professional wrestling now, but that type of character going along. And I see him just, demolishing everybody. It's just going to be technique, tunnel vision, steamrolling forward. The big reveal at the end, it's clear that he signed with Impact, and I was about to call it TNA again. And just, they're there, and they got all eyes on them now. It's Impact and the talent that they're pulling in from WWE and even from AEW and possibly ROH and New Japan. It's theirs to blow. Mm-hmm. So they can either make it or break it, and I hope they make it. Just get rid of that sophomore stuff. You've given us a glimpse of what you can do. Keep Johnny Swinger as Johnny Swinger. Put him in an ascot and in the suicide costume again, because that was hilarious. Whatever you can do with any of that stuff, go for it. I mean, come on, he knocked himself out as suicide on the top turnbuckle. You know,
comedy in small doses is totally great because then you can appreciate things like Johnny Swinger. When you do too much comedy, then you don't get to appreciate it. So they have gold with him, and I absolutely agree, RC. You know, do the things that they can do well. Understand that the wrestling audience has matured. You know, this isn't the 90s and the early 2000s where comedy was everything. People want to see real wrestling, and they have a really stacked roster now. You know, it's theirs to lose. It's theirs to mess up.
Well, we also have an international audience. Like Miranda, you're Hispanic. Najir, you're Black. I'm Middle Eastern. All three of our cultures are scared to death of our moms, so we know how tough women are.
Very true.
You know? So, like, of course, the women's division has to be like one of the top divisions. We're all scared of our moms.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get hit with growing up was the Bible because it was too holy, but whatever else was in arm's reach, mom would throw at me.
Yes.
You know,
I'm a chancla survivor here. You know, yes.
Spoons, flippers, whatever else. It's like vacuum cord. No, I'm not going to say vacuum. I'm teasing. Anybody that got hit with a vacuum cord, God help you.
Yeah, that sounds like that hurts, man. That's
tripping over a vacuum cord is bad enough. But you know, our three cultures, we're all scared of our moms. We know the women's division's got to be tough.
Oh my God,
going that route, man, and they're giving it to us. You know.
Oh my God. I can't wait for Tuesday. You know, we're back Tuesday. We'll definitely be talking about that. RC, you know, you always got a seat, buddy. Whenever you
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, I'm sorry for the name drop.
Oh no, hey man. Hey, look,
we wouldn't be wrestling without the name dropping, though. You know, we know.
We dabble into it a little bit, you know. Yeah, but I mean, if anybody that's listening, you know, thank you so much for listening to this. But we got so much more to talk about on Tuesday, so you have to tune back in on Tuesday because you know, it's an exciting time in wrestling, and much to the people in because I watched it on Fight TV. All the people who were in the chats and stuff, hats off to you guys because a lot of people were in there like saying a lot of encouraging things like you guys are going to stop sleeping. Hopefully everybody done woke up and, you know, it's like, hey, this is an amazing show. A lot of positivity. And that's what we've just been trying to preach this entire time. And hopefully that, you know, now that they really laid down all the chips on the table, like hopefully now everybody understands like this is a really, really, really good time to jump back into Impact, TNA, whatever you want to call it. But nonetheless, on Access TV each and every Tuesday night at 8 p.m., they're doing the damn thing. And we'll be here to review it. So, but anyway, RC information will be in the description. You definitely want to check him out. I can't stress enough. The guy puts out amazing content from everything from the comic book world, from media, all the way to professional wrestling, to MMA. He's located on the West Coast, so tons of good stuff up and down the board. You know, unfortunately, we won't be tag teaming out in San Diego this week, but hopefully we'll be doing more tag team work in the future and so forth. So
next year we're going to one of the Hawaii Comic Cons just so we can say we're going to
I can promise you, if I'm ever in Hawaii, I won't be working at all.
The work is the excuse, man. Come on,
you're right.
Miranda, let's go. We're all going to Hawaii.
Right. You're right about that.
You know?
Yeah. Miranda already has been. She almost got kidnapped this year, but COVID stopped that. So. Yeah. But anyway, it's been a pleasure talking about Slammiversary 2020. Each and every Tuesday we'll be just talking about Impact on Access TV, and then obviously we'll be back for Bound for Glory in 3 months. So you know, stay locked in, stay tuned in, keep that subscription button on lock. Obviously, step over to Fanboy Nation. Miranda information is all up in the description as well too. Show us all some love. We're just here to just talk about the positivity, the goods in professional wrestling, keeping you guys entertained each and every week. But for myself, for RC, and for Miranda, we'll catch you guys on Tuesday for more talks of the wrestles. Thank you for watching. See y'all then.
See you guys.